Welcome, viewers, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Braulio Rosa. I'm the Executive Director of the Broward County Bar Association. It's my honor and privilege to be interviewing Judge Keathan Frink in celebration of Black History Month 2022. Welcome, Judge Frink.
Thank you, Braulio. It's good seeing you as always, my brother.
Pleasure, my brother. So tell me a little bit about when you first joined the bench. Were you appointed, elected, and can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Absolutely. I was appointed in November. I got the call in November of 2016. And I applied, obviously. I was appointed by Governor Rick Scott, and I applied about 4 or 5 times starting in 2014. And I was working at a small firm doing insurance subrogation called Beckham & Beckham. And like I said, I applied. I made it out of committee. This is when then Bar President Eugene Pettis was in office, and he did a great job advocating and lobbying for the appointment of Black judges in the state and certainly Broward County. And so I think certainly partially as a result of Eugene's work and efforts, I was able to make it out of committee, interviewed, and I was not selected. Judge Cal Evans and Dan Cantor were selected, but I just kept applying. It took maybe about a couple months off in between that time when I did not interview because I changed jobs. But then I started applying again, like I said, maybe 3 or 4 more times, and was finally appointed in November 2016.
And well-deserved, and you're highly respected. And I know that for a fact because I know you and in our community. So
thank you. Thank you. It's a blessing.
It is your honor. So tell us, what division are you in now?
I sit in a circuit civil. So I was appointed to the circuit court bench, and I sit in circuit civil. And so I hear cases where the issues in dispute are over $30,000, or the parties are seeking, or a party is seeking equitable relief, such as an injunction or some sort of, like I said, equitable relief. And I love it. I've been here since October 2018. Prior to serving in this division, I was serving in the family division when I first started on the bench, and I took the division that Judge Goldenberg once had. And I had an option. Judge Tudor and Judge Weinstein gave me a choice to sit in family, criminal, or dependency. And Judge Goldenberg actually called me shortly after, maybe the next day after I got the phone call, and strongly suggested and encouraged me to sit in family. Because she said it'd be interesting. She said I would be a pioneer of sorts. Not that I was looking to be a pioneer, but she said that I'd be the first Black judge to sit in just a pure family division. We had Judge Gillespie, who sat in dependency, and obviously Judge Elijah Williams in juvenile delinquency. But no Black judge sat in family, just hearing divorce and paternity actions and child support actions. And so I said, well, I'll do it. I'll take on the challenge. And I did it. And I actually really enjoyed it. I did one family case in private practice, but never really practiced in family, but I enjoyed it.
Well, that's surprising, because often people are like, oh, family division's a tough division, just because dealing with, a lot of emotions, people in a bad state. But it goes to your evenness, very even. No, it's one of your hallmarks, and it's a good thing for a judge to be very even keel.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was really interesting. A lot of interesting issues in family. But I didn't really mind the emotional challenges that come with family law. I think I did provide a bit more calm to the parties and reason to the parties.
Yeah, definitely.
So I enjoyed it.
So talking about families, where's your family from, and what was your upbringing like, Your Honor?
So my parents are from North Carolina. They're from opposite ends of the state, but both on the East Coast of North Carolina. My father's from small town called Charlotte, North Carolina, which is closest. The closest major city is North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So he's right on the border. And my mother's from the opposite end of the state. Like I said, she's from small. It's so small they don't have like real cities there or towns. It's Gates County, which is close to Elizabeth City, which is close to Suffolk, Virginia. So that's how small the area that she's from. And they both were the first in their families to go to college. They both went to North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina, where they met. And my father worked for Pan Am. I don't know if you remember Pan Am, but
I do. It's a sad tale, but I remember Pan Am.
That's one old airline. He worked for Pan Am. My mother actually worked for Kennedy Space Station for the and so yeah. So and they moved down here, moved to Melbourne actually, where I grew up. Melbourne, Florida, is where I grew up. So,
what was that like growing up in Melbourne?
Quiet, very quiet. It was, Melbourne is a quiet place to live. It's a kind of a semi-retirement community, but it also had a large, the Patrick Air Force Base was not far from there in Cape Canaveral. And there's a lot of engineering companies and tech companies. So you had that dichotomy, but it was relatively quiet community, quiet place to grow up. I had a relatively quiet childhood. My parents, especially my father and uncle, were very active politically and socially in the community. My father and uncle were one of the founding members of the Broward, Melbourne chapter, I should say, of NAACP. So although, it was quiet, like I said, they're very active in the community. And that's where I got my public servant mindset from.
So you talked about both your parents being college educated. Were they advocates for you to go to school? That's been one of the patterns that I've heard with many of your colleagues on the bench, that parents, even if they weren't educated, said that was the key. You need to get educated.
So my parents didn't really give me an option. They didn't give my sister and I an option. I have an older sister. She's 3 years older than me. But I didn't know that college was an option until, high school, when I was talking to other kids about, college and stuff. So that's kind of the mindset that we had. It was not an option. We took trips up to North Carolina to visit family, to go back to Central all the time. And so for me, college was just, you graduate, you finish middle school, you go to high school. You finish high school, you go to college. So that was kind of how we grew up. And education was certainly important and the key. It's more important than anything. My father didn't necessarily care about sports. Sports with him was just like, just go outside and play activity. It wasn't as serious for him as it is, for, a lot of parents now. It was just about education.
From education to diversity, do you think it's important to have cultural diversity on the bench?
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes a difference. I think it brings a sense of, at least for the litigants, for the parties, a sense of comfort. I think it brings a sense of fairness to them, to know that there's someone on the other side, someone who's going to be presiding and ruling on their issues, who understands them. And I think they believe that they may be treated just a little bit more fairly. Not that they wouldn't, if someone who was presiding on the case was not of the same or similar background, but it just adds to that sense of fairness. My bailiff is Jamaican, and we joke all the time. We always try and identify if someone has an accent or the last name, where they're from, and then we just reach out, we just talk to them, and if it's a heightened or tense situation, especially in family, even in civil, we can just kind of just cut some of the tension, just talking about some of the background and that we all share. So I certainly think it helps. Absolutely.
So, Broward County is a minority majority county. Probably if you add up the Black community and the Hispanic community, it's over 50%. So do you think we're doing a decent job, or, do we need to improve on the ratios of the proportionality of minorities or diversity on the bench versus our community?
I think the bench, I think our elected officials, as judges, we're elected officials. So I think all elected officials should represent the population that it serves. But representing doesn't necessarily just mean culturally, racially. It also should reflect the views of the people as well. So I think we are doing a better job on that. I think certainly a lot of the elected officials and appointed judges, I should say, are reflecting the diversity of Broward County and the continuing diversity of Broward County.
So earlier you had alluded to your practice before going on the bench, sitting on the bench. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that, please?
Sure. So I graduated in 2000, and upon graduation, I got my first job in Tampa at the Public Defender's Office in Tampa. One of my favorite professors was a former public defender, and strongly encouraged and motivated me to join the Public Defender's Office. Really, one, to get trial experience because I love trials, and two, it's just a way to serve those who are underrepresented. And so I joined the PD's office in Tampa, and I left that office and worked in a medical malpractice firm for a short period of time because my wife got a job with the District of Columbia in their budget office. So we moved to DC. I worked in DC for a year, and then I came back to South Florida, particularly because my wife is from the Bahamas, and she had her first taste of a real winter and hated it. And we had to come back down and get into get the South Florida weather. So we came back down here, worked with Al Schreiber in the Public Defender's Office here, and then I worked. I opened my own firm and did criminal defense for a couple of years, and then I went to and joined the Office of Criminal Conflict and Civil Regional Counsel, again doing criminal indigent defense work. But that was a great opportunity because that office was just opening up, and I had the opportunity to take the lead and try all the homicide cases within the office. And so I got a ton of experience doing that. And that then led me to work for Beckham & Beckham, like I mentioned before, and transition into civil litigation. And then I went to another firm where I did insurance defense work. And then eventually I got appointed in 2016. So about 16 years of litigation experience, criminal and civil.
So after 16 years, and I'm sure you did it well. What motivated you to take a different path and now look to get on the bench?
Well, I do. Like I said, I come from a public servant mindset and family. That's number one. But you still kind of need a kick in the pants sometimes. And so I got a phone call, got that kick in the pants from Judge Gillespie, who called me and said, "Hey, listen, the governor would like to appoint some more diverse judges, but we need some more applicants. So I need you to apply." And so that was it. I just applied just based on the suggestion and motivation of Judge Gillespie and Judge Williams and Judge Holmes. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know Judge Gillespie well, and I can hear that conversation in my mind.
He's a good man. He's a good friend, a good colleague, great colleague, and a great motivator, to say the least.
He is, absolutely. Well, knowledge is power, Your Honor. What are the qualities that you believe are important for judges to have?
There's so many. Oh man, there's so many. And we all bring our unique talents and qualities to the bench. I think we all share a true love of learning. I think that's one thing you gotta have to have. It's just you have to be willing and like to learn. I think you have to be willing to be challenged, um, not necessarily challenge the authority. And when I say authority, it's not. I don't take this pure personally. It's the role of the judiciary. It's the role of our entire system. But I think challenge is intellectually. That's what I mean. And I think you certainly have to have patience when you're dealing with people who are in a crisis situation, who are in a challenging situation. Their emotions, their thoughts may not be as rationed and reasoned as it normally would be. So you got to have understanding and patience to deal with that. And as well as the lawyers is too. Sometimes they, it's interesting. During these times now, post-COVID, in circuit civil, we're trying to catch up as ordered by the Supreme Court. And so we had to try a bunch of cases and move these cases. That affects the lawyers. And so that puts a lot of stress and strain on the lawyers. But we all have lives outside of this work, outside of our bar licenses, So you have to understand that sometimes the personal issues can affect their job, and you have to understand that and be willing to listen to that. So patience and understanding is great qualities that a judge should have.
So from the substantive, Your Honor, let's delve a little bit into the personal, and you can reveal or as little as or as much as you'd like. And someone gave me a great question, and so I'm going to use that question.
All right.
So if a movie, a biopic was made about you, Your Honor, all right, Keathan Frink, Judge Keathan Frink, which actor would you choose to play you?
All right. So the first and obvious choice, well, obvious to me, in terms of actor, because my favorite actor is Denzel Washington, but I would not select Denzel Washington because he's, no offense to him, he's still great, but he's a bit too old, a bit older. Right?
Did you hear that, Denzel?
Yeah. But so with that in mind, one of my new and up and coming favorite actors is his son, John Washington. I don't know if you saw, he's in a movie called Tenet. He was in a movie called, the name just escaped me. It was by Spike Lee. And it was about, he played an FBI agent who went undercover on the phone as a KKK member. It was awesome. I forgot the name of the movie. It just escaped me. But he was also I also just recently saw him in a Netflix movie called Malcolm and Marie. And it's with, it's just him and Zendaya, who was in the Spider-Man movies now that are coming out.
Right.
And it's just them. And they're a couple, and they're just arguing and making up throughout the course of the night. It's a really cool movie. It's a black and white movie.
So why would you choose him, Your Honor? Why would you choose him?
He's just as powerful and strong of an actor as his father. I mean, he's going to take over, his father's position in Hollywood eventually. But he's younger, so that's why. He's probably closer to my age, so that's why.
Right. Good call. Good call.
Yeah.
All right, and one other light question for you, so the folks can know a little bit about Judge Keathan Frink. What kind of hobbies do you have, or what do you do to like chill out and relax?
I got young kids, so I spend a lot of time with them. My youngest daughter is a cheerleader, so I'm a cheer dad. And then for me, I like to exercise a lot. I work out like 4 days a week, try and run as well. So I do a lot of time doing that, spend a lot of time doing that. And then, I'm still involved in the community. I really enjoy doing it. I'm very active in my fraternity. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And, in addition to the community service we do, or just hang out with them and then and the family. So there's not a lot of time, not a lot of free time going on
Yeah.
with Judge Frink. But when I do, those are the things that I like to do.
It's awesome. Judge Frink, it's been a pleasure, truly. And and I know you and we're friends, but I learned some new things about you. I love hearing about who would play you. So I think that's something that will catch everyone's attention. Thank you for spending some time with me, Your Honor.
Thank you, Braulio. Again, it's good seeing you, brother. And John Leguizamo, telling you, reach out to him. He plays you.
You got it, brother. Be well. Have a happy holidays, Your Honor.
All right. Same to you.